Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome to another Flesh and Blood
Ta-da!
Team League stream brought to you by the Combat Chain. I'm Adam Philipchuk and this is Pat Shaw, and we've got another exciting matchup for you. We've got Donghee Kim of West Coast Best Coast taking on Calvin Holt of Galaxxi Gaming. West Coast,
Mm-hmm.
Best Coast, up 1-0 in the series now with Yuki Lee Bender getting the win over
Oh,
uh,
Noah Bagel
Noah
from
Kegel.
Galaxy Gaming.
There we go. Yeah,
Yep,
Noah
Kegel.
Kegel.
Kegel the Bagel.
And yeah, going into match two, an important match still for both teams. What are you thinking
Mhm.
off the top here, Pat?
Well, Donghee has been infamous for his Starvo play. It's ebbed and flowed a little bit. We know he's a big thinker. Really likes to lay out his lines of play there, but both him and Calvin have really battled all season for their teams. Have been real workhorses, and both guys are 2-2 on the season. And this is, like you said, this is a big one, right? This is not only is this the playoffs, but we are we are in a new meta. The ban list is in effect for this weekend, for this week playoff action. So not only here, but the playoff series across the board. Obviously, in D1, you have the Hyperloops versus Hometown TCG Ascent for the D1 championship. Clout Chasers in D3 are fighting for promotion against, I believe it's Team Invaders. I'd have to look. But there's a bunch of intense action going on. And this is the first whiff of new meta smell that you'll be able to see this week. So if nothing else, it's going to be super informative to everyone watching to see how some of the best players in the world have approached essentially like day one, right? First games into that uh, new meta. Of course, we opened up with a Prism Starvo match that went pretty old fashioned, uh, but we'll see what happens in game two here. I want some
Yeah.
spice, Adam. I want I want a dash aggro. I want I want Katsu. Give me Dory. Give me Dory something. Give me something. Something new. I want new.
All right. Well, I mean, okay, if we have to speculate here, so Donghee has sadly, it looks like Donghee is only, if you look at the records, has only played Starvo. Um, if you look at Calvin Holt's background, it's been mostly Prism with a little bit of Viscerai. Uh,
Oh
we
boy.
we could have another Starvo Prism matchup, unfortunately.
Yep. Well, you know what? I think if nothing else, I don't know how I don't know what the boards were like there, but I do know that even given in my own testing into uh, excuse me, some of my own testing as Starvo, like reworked. We tend to call it Hamilton Starvo, right? That kind of control-y build. What does that look like without Autumn's touches? What does that look like without Awakening? Can it still do the things that it wanted to do? And I think what we saw in game one is that it really it doesn't, that slow control build does not have enough going on there to really threaten Prism in the long game. Prism, uh, you know, develops that board state over time, and Yuki appeared to be down early in the game, and that mid to late game, she really just started dominating the board state, and Starvo just did not have enough gas to really threaten her at that point, and she just eventually bowled Starvo over and got the win. Um, so it'll be interesting. I don't know if that was more of a, because we saw Earthorb Bounty coming from Starvo, so it'll be interesting to know if that was like a sideboard choice, or if they were really going for that control game. And we do have Prism versus Starvo. coming up here. Uh, I would expect that if these two individuals were watching game one, they might learn from might take some notes on there. The Starvo would probably want a board to be a little more aggressive, and Prism has to be prepared for that. So we do know that the aura plan still works, but it'll be interesting to see how given that information, these two will board and play into one another.
And I think something else of note here, to go back to the discussion Eric and I were having, where uh, we're in agreement that if the Starvo had played a little more of a disciplined game, just kind of dealing with auras as they popped up, it would have left him in a much better position. I wonder if Donghee's going to pick up from that and uh, just deal with the auras as they come and not get greedy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Michael Hamilton during the calling really set the blueprint against Black, where he really spent the time to do exactly what you were saying, and it paid dividends in the long run. Where eventually, we see Donghee on the Starvo reveal turn 0.
Yeah, Donghee opening up with Starvo. That's a great way to start the break round. This is 9 dominate go again. Uh, gonna get some damage, and that's a great way to open up. Chipping in 3-6 damage on Prism. That's awesome for Donghee to start off. Ooh, we see
Yeah, we do. Yeah, Synclo defensive reaction coming from Prism.
blocking for 4, so that still will leave Calvin taking 5 here. Unless, yeah, and then we see him going down to 35.
Yep, no, looks like no instant speed auras coming from Prism. So
Nope.
I'll just draw up and go.
So we're gonna go cut to the beginning of Calvin's first turn. Calvin, I imagine, looking to develop some board state here. See what he's got in his hand.
Will be interesting to see. We'll know pretty quickly if we see something super aggressive, a red Herald of Protection, a Phantasmaclasm, or something along those lines. It'll be really telling about the intended play patterns happening here. A Parable of Humility, on the other hand, I think is a pretty strong side that at the very least this is, he's sided in an Auras build. How many? Is it 27? Probably. It'd be interesting to see how that goes. We see a good old fashioned Polar Blast from Arsenal. And he does draw a card because it was played from Arsenal, but no Starvo reveal from Donghee.
Donghee figuring out the next step now that he's got that card draw. Does have 2 floating resources on top of the 4-card hand. So sitting in a pretty good position here to execute a turn. Ooh, and we're going to see an Oakenold.
Pitching a pummel. I was gonna say, if if nothing else, Calvin should be aware of the pummels. Donghee went to Pummel City last week in a tight, long but losing effort in the Starvo mirror, but pummels everywhere coming from Donghee. So we see one pitched. We saw that two floated for a little bit before the pitch. Now Calvin knows that it is a potential threat for the rest of the game.
Yeah, Calvin knows he has to be careful.
We see Calvin pitching.
Pitching a Soul Shield.
Yep, pitching a
Interesting.
Soul Shield, playing a Parable, a second Parable, subtracts it by 2 for 5, blocking 3, taking 2, and emptying his hand. So uh, there is an on-hit effect, but nothing to on-hit.
So a smart play on. I think that's a decent play on Calvin's part. He's developing his board state still. He's only going down to 30. And now he's got Donghee in slightly, a little bit of a more difficult position. Donghee now has to potentially take up to 2 turns off to deal with those two auras now. Unless
Chat
Donghee's
letting us
just gonna.
know there's a slight grammar error with Galaxy Gaming. I'll let Bagel. You guys can spell it right on your stream. We'll leave it as is unless Adam feels
Oh, I'll
uh
fix it. I'll fix it.
funky in
Sorry about
fixing
that.
it.
My bad.
But Prism's play into that Oakenold was very detrimental to I think the Starvo game plan here. Um, really Starvo really relies on those on hits and to not only get those multiple auras out, but basically nullify the on hit. Really slows down what Starvo wants to do there. And we saw it looked like a evergreen. It looked like nothing of real consequence came of it, and I believe Calvin's up here. We have fixed the Galaxy Gaming name. Thank you, Adam.
I'm all
It
for
looks
getting
like
it right.
terrible
Into Ode. Oh,
into an ode. Yep, and no go again. That was a parable for one pitching to it for an ode to Wrath at an instant speed, but still no go again. Yep, and then a haze bending. Did I miss something there?
uh, is there a
Haze bending's
yellow?
on instant, is it? No, I believe that was
No.
two blues. Right?
Is that a yellow Enigma
Parable for
Chimera?
one. Was that?
It might have been a yellow Enigma Chimera.
I'll agree with you. Donghee with the
Ooh,
Starvo reveal and coming in with a crippling crush.
this is 13 Dominate Go again. On
Crippling
crush
crush
of
being the
4 or more. Discard 2 at random. Go ahead there, Pat.
no, I would say crippling crush, the most pro wrestling sounding uh, uh, card from Flesh and Blood. Always good to say with the big gravel. And Bravo looks particularly wrestlerish in that illustration. So, especially when it's fused, good to get the crippling crush out there. We see a sink below coming from Calvin.
Sink below from
I
hand
believe
still.
I believe that's number 3. I feel like I've seen a flurry of sink belows coming from Calvin. And we do see the sink below instant genesis. And once again, Calvin, so he's taking the damage, but there is essentially no on hit. Chat confirms the yellow enigma. Thank you very much. So Starvo once again does leak through enough damage to cause the unhit, but Prism empties their hand to essentially nullify that on hit effect. And you see Calvin now growing that board state. Second verse same as the first. If you go back to game 1, uh, Bagel saying it's giving him flashbacks, and rightfully so.
Yeah, and Calvin's starting to get the important auras out now. He's got a Genesis out, he's got a Haze Bending out. He's got some value generation on his board now. So this is a tough position for Donghee to be in.
But we do get the Starvo reveal and a Tome of Harvest. Spicy.
You have to be careful with the Tome of Harvest though, because this does give the Prism an opportunity to ALS.
It does. Yeah, it gives him a chance to respond.
Because Starvo himself, you can't respond to because he's at start of turn trigger, not an action phase trigger. So
That is correct.
bravo, but like the moment you have things like seismic surges or anything like that, that really that anything like that gives an opportunity for the prism to respond and really impede the opponent's turn.
Donghee in the tank.
I mean, he's got a 5 card hand. Can you blame him?
He does. He's got an embarrassment of riches. I thought for a moment he might have been pausing to see if there was a response from Calvin. Now that he knows that there's not, he's got to think about what he's doing. Thinking long and hard.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
There's the evergreen. Blue evergreen. Tough to see. I
That is a
believe it
blue
is.
evergreen.
It's coming in for 7. Dominico again. Let's see how Calvin responds here. He does not have to empty his hand to avoid a devastating on hit coming from the attack action. He is looking at the shield, so definitely lose the shield. Yeah, and he'll block one and take the rest.
Just
Going
vanilla
down to
damage.
17. No, we got then the Frosty Hammer pitching first Command and Conquer, and
Looks
then
like
a Channel
he's,
Lake coming in for 4. Ooh, and targeting the Genesis.
and I think that's the right play there. I think I think Donghee needs to focus on clearing up the board state. Donghee needs to try to, keep the board state as clean as possible. Otherwise, oh, another Genesis coming in behind.
Oof,
That's a tough break
oof.
for Donghee.
Chat, you're right. Parable, a constant presence on the board uh, this game and putting in some serious work. And we do see another shield being generated by Calvin. 1 card, a haze bending. Oh man, Value Town, population 1, Mayor Calvin Holt.
Calvin Holt. Jinx, you owe me a soda. This is a tough position for Donghee to be in. Like even coming in with an Old fused 11 dominate, Calvin at this point's like, yeah, I'll take it. I'll 2 shields, maybe block the
We
card from
just,
hand, still keep two
I do
cards, be able to
think
swing
this
in.
is I think this is a super, is this a super fused
This
Oakenold?
is a super fused Old,
Mm-hmm.
but -1 because of parable. So 10.
Yeah, 8.
8 minus yeah, with the shields, 8.
Yeah. The math is so wonky. All right, comes in at 7, gets +2 because of super fuse, +2 on its own, so it goes up to 11. -1, 10. All right.
We got there.
Does look like Calvin's deciding what to put in front of it. Can't stop all of it.
It looks like a Herald of Triumph yellow and the skull cap
Yeah, and
and the Ironhide. So he's going to have to pitch.
yeah,
There we see the blue Herald of Protection and and we're
and
gonna
another
flash.
parable. Oh man. So he pitches for the Ironhide plus the 2 shields. I was about to say still coming in for 1, and then the what is the third parable this game to nullify the hit completely. No life lost. Donghee looking at his hand. I'm wondering if he's What is he considering here? He might just have a earth-based non-attack, an earth-based attack action, just kind of capitalize on maybe some raw damage.
Oh no, I think you got to still deal with an aura here. 100%. I think that's the priority. You do
Sounds
not let
sounds
this.
terrible.
You do
It doesn't look
not
like
let
there's
this
still no
runaway train get.
reaction. Yeah, definitely.
And break ground at the
And we
parable.
do
Yep.
in yep.
Yeah. I guess you can leave Genesis for another turn because Calvin's got an empty hand.
Mm-hmm. Yep, very good point.
Calvin's going to get another 2 shields off of the haze bendings. Luckily, Donghee still at 38 or 28, still has some life total to work with to clean this mess up.
Starvo Fuse. It's Donghee is trying. He is hitting these fuses, and then he's got a Tome of Harvest. That's the second time he's been able to tome. Pretty spicy tech. I kind of like that. Not crowning so much when he has the tome, but uh, pitching, getting that tome and drawing 3 into a hand after Starvoing is a pretty slick move there. But as much as effective as he's been with the fuses, it does feel like, even though the life totals are a little different here, it does feel like Calvin is taking control of the game. Donghee not being able to produce a threat density enough to really threaten, to really affect Calvin's board state here.
Yeah, Calvin is certainly ahead right now. I would be inclined to agree. But Donghee on the is that 5-card hand again. He's got to have
He
something.
does have he does have the fuse, so whatever it is, it's going to be beefier than normal. There's
Oh,
a
and then
pulse, giving it +4.
into just
What
the
is
hammer.
this? Oh, maybe he had the reveal and was just banking on drawing into a threat.
Interesting. So Donghee threatening a hammer for 8.
That's gotta hurt. That's gotta hurt.
For Donghee or Calvin?
Donghee, I don't think that's the attack that you wanted to see if you're Donghee.
No, I agree. I think Donghee was looking for something bigger there.
Having 3 cards in hand, putting a pulse that you can use for fusing and attacking with the weapon, albeit a frosty weapon, is I can't be ideal circumstances. He did activate Starvo at the beginning of the turn. When he pitched the Tome of Harvest, you imagine that you were just kind of grabbing some ammo, but now I believe he was actually digging for a threat, and by all indications did not find one. You do not want to be swinging the weapon for the after the reveal here. And again,
100%.
unless he's got something sneaky up his sleeve here.
Even a pummel though is just I feel like not enough. There's the pummel, yeah.
Yeah, and that's just damage.
No discard for us there. That's a tough break for Donghee, I think.
I was half expecting to see potentially maybe a blink into an attack action. Really trying to mix things up a little bit, but alas, we're not seeing that.
Yeah. Looks like we're just cleaning up here.
Calvin. Yeah. It is. It's doing just enough to like Calvin is putting cards in front of it, so he is uh he he's not just taking it and keeping all his cards and coming back at him with a hand, but that again that's probably not how you how you approach this matchup as Prism. You're probably happy putting two cards in front and then on your opponent's turn, throwing some stuff down like he's been doing. Noah's saying don't discard. Did Calvin discard on hit?
I didn't think I saw a
It's a
discard because
busy
he
lots going on there. Don't know if I saw the discard there.
because I saw like there was two cards from hand, but I thought those were both to block the hammer.
Hmm.
So,
And we
but
do
yes,
see.
it is a common thing that people think you discard on the hammer and you don't discard. You only discard on attack action cards
Yeah,
on pummel.
right. No discard on the weapon. We do see, I believe that's just a vanilla, no fuse, just a regular old break ground coming in for
Set.
6 or 7. I believe is that red?
I believe that's red.
My glasses need glasses here. Oh,
Calvin just reading the card quickly, making sure he knows. And
you can really see, the talk about the life totals. Yeah, Zane saying he didn't discard. He looking at the board states, it's really telling the story of the game right now. You you have Starvo coming in with just the break ground, nothing happening, and Prism with one, two, three, four, 5 non-token auras and a shield, and blocking with a
a Pierce reality.
thank you.
Yeah, and I wonder if Donghee is saying to himself that, you know what, there's just too much board state for me to deal with. The trick here is to just keep his spectral shields down and try to go face and hope I can win this race.
I was gonna ask what is the what's the strategy here for Starvo? How do you counter what he's and hey,
I
we just talked about it. Look, there's the blink into a hammer, but he's still got that double haze bending is killer, man.
Yeah, you know what? I think that's the right call though. I think you have to be disciplined and you have to focus on keeping a clean board state. And you know what? It's okay to try to do tricks, sneak and damage. That blink play I think was a decent play. Uh, but I think, and I see chat saying face is the place.
Base is the place. Sure. Right?
I
You're
don't know that that's
kind of
right.
gotta. I
Um,
think I think what we're really trying to say is Starvo's in a real tough spot. Yeah,
Starvo is in a tough spot, but
he's still leaking damage, but
he
it's
is.
not a ton. And Prism does have a lot of work left to do. Uh, building that board state is one thing, but Starvo is still has a pretty hefty life total in comparison.
Yeah, but that's one ode to Wrath, or away from, because
Mm-hmm,
what
mm-hmm,
with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you get an ode to Wrath. 6 becomes 12.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That it doesn't take much to
Looks like
for that
we're gonna have a
24 to get
shield.
whittled down at this point.
Yeah, being very enthusiastic about where to direct damage. The face is the place. I agree. Just in general, usually just aim for the face in most violent endeavors. And we see Donghee blocking with an Okanold on the War Tune.
So that'll pop it.
Yep,
And
pops it. Ooh, Donghee coming in with a Command and Conquer for 6, no defense reactions.
now this is still, unless Donghee has the pummel, this is still a block from hand at worst
Mm-hmm.
for.
Feel like a pummel would actually be pretty good right about now. That would right. You talk about finding that ode to wrath, but getting those cards out is almost equally as valuable um, to stop that from happening. Chris Ray in the chat, friend of the channel. Chris Ray, how you doing?
Yeah, and you know what, I do hear the chat's argument that like the double haze bending, you kind of at some point it gets to the point where it at some point it gets to the point where yeah, it's too overwhelming and you do have to just switch and go face. And I guess yeah, this is probably at that point for Donghee.
And we see, yeah, pretty straightforward 2-card block from Prism. And we might start seeing there's a Miraging Metamorph for 7 go again. And I believe the Pain Train is leaving the station after this Miraging Metamorph. He should be coming in for a bunch. Yep, Prism grouping them all together and saying attack with all of them.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah, and Donghee down to 16, and just like that. Let's see what we have. We do have a Starvo activation. There's a pulse and a flash.
Into the crippling crush.
A crippling crush. 13 dominate go again. Still gotta decide his pitch. Floating 2.
Ooh.
Hashtag respect the pummel. Yeah, not expecting the Command and Conquer. But of course, we are in the brand new world order here where you can do whatever you want. No Autumn's touches, there's no awakenings. Maybe the Command and Conquer was a little, now you see it, now you don't, little switcheroo. Whatever gets you over the top.
Yeah, and I do know, like in speaking with Donghee, that he's been trying to find ways to just make Starvo as aggressive as possible, be able to win the race with Chain. I think that's part of his goal. So maybe through some of that, that's how CNC found its way into his list.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Calvin does have some thinking to do here. His life total is low. He doesn't have like a uh, the potential for a merciful is still there, but one's not out. So he does have to think about his actions and his life. The shields have the potential going. There's the yellow Enigma Chimera pitching a Genesis and a Soul Shield from Arsenal.
This is
That
preventing
is three,
9
6,
plus shields makes 12.
and -1.
-1. There we go. Yep.
Yep. Prism, man. I tell you what, that Prism does this to uh a couple weeks ago we saw Prism do the same kind of thing to Oldham, right? When Oldham needed to have that big attack, they cleared out a bunch of shields, seemed to have a bunch of real estate open, came in with that fused Oakenold in with the pummel, and Prism just shields, de-react, block, just be done with it, and
Yeah.
no hit, you know. And this is the demoralizing part for Starvo. I got to imagine like there was a lot coming into that attack. And obviously, haven't blocked the 12. No pummel coming. He's still had that card in hand, but obviously choosing not to pummel if he had it.
Yeah. And it looks like Donghee is just thinking about what his next step is here after the crippling crush. Thinking about whether he hammers or arsenals, I believe. Hovering over the hammer. I
Take a
wonder if
shot
he's.
at an aura, maybe. Time to take out one of the haze bendings.
We're thinking about it.
Right, really weighing. Can I set something up next turn with the card in arsenal, potentially a crown, or do I? Yeah, or do I pitch and attack? I got to imagine he's targeting an aura. Let's see.
Or I don't know. Do you try to just keep sneaking in 4 at this point?
You just face? Yeah, I guess so, huh?
Faces the place. That's.
And the cursor is moving. And moving to the life counter, taking 4 to the face.
Or in a frostbite. Or no, no frostbite. I think. Saw the
Yep,
frostbite
no,
poke out
pitch to
there.
lightning.
But yeah, pitch the lightning card, no
Yeah, still
frostbite.
had pitch floating from the ice, but I believe the hammer is very specifically the card. You have to pitch the ice card to attack with the hammer. Even if you try to float that resource from an ice card, it does not. It's not effective.
I believe you are correct, sir. So four auras out currently for Calvin. 2 cards in
Yep,
hand.
2-card hand. Yep.
Card and soul. Able to make a shield.
A lot of things can happen right now to really put a damper on Starvo even more. But we do see a pitch into a War Tune Herald. That is one of them. You pop Phantasm. You have the resource, so no matter what, he's going to gain the action point. So he is going to come in with a bunch of shields on top of that, no matter what. And I believe that gets +2 from the Pierce Reality. Starvo down to 3.
With 4 shields on the board. Oof.
Mm-hmm.
or 4 auras, should say.
Yep. He's presenting 4 points of damage, which is lethal. So he'll have to do something. He can't crown. There's not a whole lot left to do. He's got to put some cards in front of it or pitch them to activate it to turn on the Iron Hides.
Oh, and we're gonna see Tunic thrown at this.
Pulse and a Tunic.
Goes to 1. So at 1, something of note, every single poke is lethal now. So that
Yep.
Donghee really needs something to kind of shut down Calvin, because even on a 1 card hand, Calvin's pretty oppressive at this point now.
Yeah, cards and soul. I mean, he's in the driver's seat. So Donghee needs to do something pretty explosive here. Yeah. Cursor's doing some wiggling.
Some sort of
They're looking
conversations
at,
happening.
yeah. Looks like Donghee's looking at his opponent's graveyard and his banish, and he's looking at his own graveyard.
Just taking a moment to know what's going on in the game.
He's gotta be asking himself, what is the threat of a merciful retribution from popping a shield? We have seen a couple already be put in the discard pile and were in soul. So they are banished. And he still needed to block one.
We're going to see a hammer here. Pitching an
Vanilla
earth
hammer
card.
coming in.
Yeah, this is a tough position for Donghee now.
Yep, Prism thinking about the blocks, and we see a double shimmer block. I'll tell you what, that's a pretty good sign that you're doing pretty well. And you're like, what do I got in my hand? I got 2 shimmers. Just block one.
Yeah, because at this point, there's going to be, what, six swings for 1. Donghee can block. This might be it this
He
turn.
can do this. Yeah, this might be it.
Unless Donghee's got a trick up his sleeve. I guess he can buy some value by, if he pitches a yellow or a blue, he can crown and he can Ironhide.
Really needs to find that Wrath of God. That would be pretty good right now.
Except Wrath of God targets creatures, not
Oh.
auras.
Oh yes, and I believe that is that the GG? What do I have? Dance going on.
I think that's correct. It looks like we have a good game here. So,
All right. So we have Galaxy Gaming tying the series with West Coast Best Coast 1-1 with the second game in a row Prism taking it over Starvo.
back-to-back Prism and
Very
Starvo
interesting.
games.
Yeah, in this one, the life totals were a little closer, but it felt like Prism really stabilized a few turns ago and really was just waiting it out for for the opportunity to attack with those, with the board state that he had developed. And once that started happening, I think the dominoes just kind of started falling, and the writing was on the wall there.
Yeah,
But
100%.
taking some time to just kind of finish it off, and there we are. So this is exciting playoff, flesh and blood series tied 1-1. Uh, what do we have? When's game 3 here coming up?
Currently, we've got game 3 scheduled for this Thursday. So that'll be May 5th. And that'll be at do,
Ooh,
do,
I believe
do.
that will be at 6 p.m. Pacific, which would be 9 p.m. Eastern. Is that Colin Honigman
That's the
versus
one.
Joe
Yep.
Santillana?
Yep. So that'll
Excellent,
be it.
excellent.
And yeah, that's going to be a super exciting game, especially with the series tied, one apiece currently. Uh, you know,
Absolutely.
it's anybody's series now.
And this is for promotion to Division One. Who is also, I believe, it is the Hyperloops versus uh, Hometown TCG, and I believe they're going all on Thursday as well. So the Division One championships should be decided Thursday night. We'll know more about what's happening in Division Two Thursday night. It's going to be a big night. Let's check D3 if they have theirs. I don't believe that they have their schedule up yet for this week. But we do know that it is the Clout Chasers and the Separatists. I think I said the Invaders earlier. It is the Separatist Union versus Clout Chasers in the D3 playoffs.
All right.
Excuse
So
me.
another exciting
Oh,
match off there, playing for that
there's so
relegation
much.
up
There's so much
to.
good flesh and blood happening.
Oh, this is
We're gonna
awesome.
have so
This is
15 games this week in the new meta to decide championships and promotions. And like I had mentioned, some of the best players in the world. Right? Look, all the Galaxy Gaming guys here. We got your squad here. We got national champions. Uh, we've got people who have won baker's dozens of pro quests on their own. Just a bunch of high quality players experimenting and having fun in a new meta with some stakes, and that's what we're here for.
I mean, what more can you ask for in the last couple weeks leading up to Jersey? This is just like the perfect build up.
A trophy, a big cup, a big a big celebratory cup, or I don't know what you like a maybe something on a pedestal with like the eye of Ophidia on it, and just grand champions, and then you could have like littler ones for D2. So if you guys win, you get like a little one, and then D3 will get these little plastic. We get like little tokens, but it'll still be cool. But you want to work up to the Eye of Ophidia trophy. I have to talk to the commissioner. I think I
We'll have to
just,
talk to Tyler about this.
yeah, yeah, we got
But
there. That's
until
what we will
uh,
do.
until the next match, it's been a pleasure streaming
Hey,
for you
before
all.
before before we uh, before we get too far, the combat chain will be getting their content creator appreciation kits tomorrow, and I believe that we'll be putting something out there uh, at some point tomorrow. Once we get it in our hands, it will be delivered to the door, and I will be holding a box, and we will be certain to put something out there to show off that the combat chain got a content creator appreciation kit, and we're gonna share it with our audience.
That's super exciting. I can't wait to see that, and then get it to all of you. as a
Hmm.
thank you for listening and watching and just being a part of everything that the combat chain is doing. But I
Absolutely.
think I think that's going to bring us to the end of this broadcast. Once again, thank you all for streaming or for or paying attention. Thank you all for watching. It's been a pleasure. Until next time, we are
We are closing the
closing the
combat
combat
chain.
chain.